John Keim back to the United States. He was abroad for the Commanders' trip to Madrid. He covers the Commanders for ESPN.com. Welcome home, John. How are you?
I'm feeling okay. I am not back on East Coast time yet, though.
Had you ever been to Madrid before?
No, I've been to Spain, Barcelona, Valencia, Sevilla, Granada, Malaga, but not Madrid.
Look at you, big world traveler. I'm impressed.
What time is it right now in your brain, then?
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock p.m.?
I've been up. Yes, I've been up and awake since about 3:30, so we could have done this earlier.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry about that. Take a couple days. You'll get back in the swing of it. I know it.
It's fine.
Overall, disappointing trip. Is the most emotionally invested I've been in a game in a while. I don't know why. I mean, the season's over, but I just, that's a game you can win, and I hate to see them just kind of throw it away, drop it, fumble it away, whatever, the way they did. Very, very frustrating. What was the mood? I see DQ now. He doesn't seem as pissed. It's almost like it's setting into him, too. It's a loss.
Resignation.
I think resignation is the word there, too. Yeah. I think because especially like that game, that was there for them. These other games, they're getting blown out.
Right.
And, I know there's the segment of the fan base like, just get the better draft pick.
Yeah,
these guys want to win. But these guys want to win, and that's what you're working to do that. And so when you see opportunities, and then there's just a collapse of just plays that just the slip on the 4th and 1, the fumbled punt, the interception, like just the missed field goal. I mean, it just adds up, and it's like, what do you have to do to get over that? No pun intended, but to get across that goal line. It's just. So yes, I think because after Dallas, it was pissed off.
Yeah.
After a couple weeks later, it was furious.
Yeah.
And it just feels like that felt like took some of the life out of them the other day.
Yeah, it's frustrating. So the big story leading up to it obviously was DQ taking control of the defense. Right. What did you notice? I'm sure you've watched it back at least once now.
I will say I wish I had, but some airlines' Wi-Fi doesn't work as well.
What did you instinctively see or notice, if anything?
A lot. In first, just watching it, like a lot more zone, a lot more disciplined coverages, right? Uh-huh. And the mistakes that were being made, I don't know that it was from communications, et cetera, like you've seen in the past. So a lot more of that. There were some blitzes that were maybe, I don't know if they were different, but maybe when the timing of it was called, like Jonathan Jones had a blitz that completely fooled the Dolphins, a corner blitz that, fullback, they're not expecting it, clearly. The fullbacks run out of route. It's like, oh, crap, this guy's coming. So, like a couple things like that. And, I think the other thing is, too, Miami's offense is not Detroit's or Seattle's at this point, so I think you wonder how much that is, but they do have a couple guys that are pretty good. And like sometimes it's just guys making plays, like Jordan McGee made a couple nice stops in the open field against A-Chain, right? Mm-hmm. So like that helps too when you get that. So I think it'd be hard for me without watching it fully say these are different, but it did feel like there was a little bit more zone, which again, and I think more discipline, even like on when Jacob Martin had the sack of Tua in the red zone, it was a good job by Sam still staying backside, which is what he's supposed to do. But sometimes in the past, like you see guys maybe getting out of their zones a little bit with their eyes and stuff. And that time he took away the throw and allowed Martin to get to him. So, things like that. But, it's hard because you'd have to really go. It's not always just like what you're in. It's when you're calling it. How are they executing it? And one of the things and so like it could be as much like before the game, I talked to Quinn on Friday about it and just said, because my thing is, what can you do in 1 week that can really change this?
Right.
Because it's asking a lot. And so he's like, they would run the plays over and over again, sometimes as many as 10 times. He said, if they didn't get it, we're throwing it out of the playbook. And, so like that, maybe it was just like kind of paring it down even more with, he said it might lead to a smaller list of play calls, but they're ones that they get right. So that's what it seemed like it was. It felt like it was a little bit more disciplined, but and not to ramble on this, but even ask Bobby Wagner, you ask the players about it, and Bobby Wagner's like, I don't want to go there because I don't want to disrespect Joe Whitt by saying anything around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think they're very sensitive to all that. And the last thing I'll say is sometimes you make these changes. This goes back years and years and years ago. And you remember when Bill Arnsberger came in as a defensive consultant. And sometimes you look for things that are different, but you're really not sure if they are. I remember after the game, like Sam Huff, Hall of Fame linebacker, knows a ton, was talking about how the linebackers are playing and all that. And I remember talking to guys, that's a good observation. So I asked some guys, like, no, we're pretty much doing the same thing. But maybe sometimes you just sharpen your focus and do it better because there was some level of change.
John, this is a little bit off in the distance, but do you envision Quinn hiring another DC, or does he retain that role into next season? What's your best guess?
Oh, my best guess would be somebody else is in that role, because this is not what he wants to be doing. When he was in Atlanta, he did not want to be doing that. I think he likes being the head coach. Part of the reason, for like in Atlanta too, he had a little bit more say over personnel. It's not what he really wants. And I think sometimes you feel like you have to do it versus you want to do it. And so I would be surprised if somebody else, if he were still in that role.
Offensively, with Mariota, they're just not the same. I mean, Marcus is a fine backup, but they just don't put the points up.
I mean, so the other day, it's of your 5 receivers, it's Chris Moore, Robbie Chosen, and Jacoby Jones.
Yeah.
Those are 3 of your 5. And then Jim Lane was the 4th. And I think he can be a good slot guy eventually. There's stuff I like about him.
Yeah.
But that's it's no disrespect to them, but that's a tough way to roll.
Yeah.
It just is. So, yeah.
It looks like Chris Rodriguez has emerged as the number 1. Is that fair to say after these last couple of games?
You would think so. I mean, he's done a nice job. He runs hard. He got 1 carry after I think the 6-minute mark of the third, but he did a good job. And what I also liked with that, there were several times in there with him where they'd bring Brandon Coleman in as a third tackle. I think there were 5 runs where it was and I don't know if it was always with Rodriguez, with 5 runs where it was 17 yards, 14 yards, 12, 10. In that formation, but Rodriguez does a nice job with that. I think he's done a nice job all from camp on whenever he's gotten the chances. So, you would think that he would get more. He's earned more opportunities. I would say that.
John, let me ask you: if you were coaching this team, and let's just say that Jaden's
they'd be in trouble.
Me too. Jaden's available coming after the bye or whatever, get some work.
Yeah.
Would you? I personally want to play him. I as a fan, John, I still need to see that the guy can hold up. Not that I would change course. You're committed to him, but I need to throw him out there, even though the season's kind of over. I need him to get the reps. I need him to play, and I know he wants to play. I'd play his ass as soon as
He definitely wants to play.
Yeah.
Yeah. He is working to play again. So there is that. So my thought would be, first of all, there's 6 games left. If somebody is healthy at that spot and you're not playing, then they're not going to play. I think that's a tough look.
Yeah.
For the locker room, for others, there are a lot of guys out, and I think everybody understands his importance here. He's only played 4 games this year? I'm losing track of it now, but he hasn't played a lot, and you need reps to get better.
I agree.
I think, with 6 games left, and I don't know if this is going to be a scenario for this game or not, because I don't know that he's at that point. But let's say with 6 games left, one of the things they want to see him get better at is decisions on the move. You don't do that by doing anything other than being in a position to make decisions on the move. Mm-hmm. So, you know what I mean? And so I think if you want the offense to evolve a little bit down the road, then I think you need to get him, you would want to see him play more. Now, I think the question becomes if there's only a few games left. Let's say it's he's still several weeks out, and with 3 games left, now he's ready. That's when I start to say, is that going to be enough, right? Mm-hmm. But I think what I also wonder is the residual effects of that play against Seattle in the organization. In other words, where some people just why was he out there? Mm-hmm. And does that play into the if you put him back out there and it's 5 minutes left, he gets hurt again, what's going to be said and how's it going to look and what's it going to look like in the off season for him? Because I think the key is not so much what people say, but making sure he's not rehabbing in the off season, and we all know like they ostensibly shut Robert down a few years ago for that reason, which was kind of a BS reason, but because they knew they were getting fired. But, but I think in this case, you want to make sure that, but I don't think he needs reps. They know that. And
I totally
any
agree.
Young quarterback. So that's what I say. I think, again, I know a major point of emphasis for him will be the scrambles and just making decisions on that. The only way to get better at it is to be out there. It's just a matter of how many games are left when you're doing that.
Right.
So on the injury front, it's the bye week, so they have some time. Should we expect to see Terry McLaurin back on the field when they play Denver? Will Harris, Drake Jackson, and some of these others that I guess still on injured reserve but returned to practice last week.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think the good thing for them is that McLaurin and Noah Brown were in Spain with them as continuing the rehab. Mm-hmm. And so that's good. But it's not like we saw Terry out there running, any sort of routes with them, and which is always the good step, right? We haven't.
Oh, he wasn't even at that point yet.
He wasn't at that point. Everything that we saw was off on the side with trainers and just like some stretching stuff and things like that. It was not, like usually you start to see some running with Jackson. You saw him actually going. This is a 21-day window, so you're seeing him go through drills. So I think he's going to be pretty close. But with the other ones, I need to see more, or we would need to see more to say like, okay, it looks like this, because they're not telling us. But so you have to start to gauge where they're at by what you're seeing them do on the practice field, even if it's off to the side, which we're not allowed to record, but you can watch, Mm-hmm. So like if you're seeing them run sprints and all that, it's like, okay, like, and with Terry, that with the quad, you're going to need to see that, because otherwise, like, he's got to trust that. And it's why the 1 week he shut it down, because after running, watching him after practice one day, like, it just, the next day that was it. He wasn't practicing. So like they have to see that, and we haven't seen that. So I don't know how close that I don't know if he'll play in that game or not. I don't know enough yet.
John, do you think Matt Gay knew on that 9-hour plane flight home that he had kicked his last game with the Commanders after those two misses?
Oh yeah. Talk about it, like, it's one thing to miss it, but then you have 9 hours and you probably, that's brutal. Yes. I'm guessing he did. He looked, again, you talk about resignation after it, and I mean, he was pretty, obviously blame him. There were a number of plays, but you had a chance at a game winner. So yeah, I'm going to guess, like, if you know the life of a kicker, and he does, then that could be it. The hard part is, they're signing a guy that has kind of the same issue with the 50 yards and about beyond misses. I think the other hard part with that is they're always having to kick field goals beyond 50 yards. Mm-hmm. He's kicked 19 field goals this year. I think it's 9 were from 50 or beyond.
4 for 9 on over 50.
Yeah. And he was 13 for 19 overall. Like, that's not, I'm not absolving him. Like, that was his issue coming in. Like, he was bad last year. Before last year, he was good in that area. Last year, not. This year, not. And then you have an offense that cannot get you in better position. And little things like that sack by Mariota, like, you can't take that sack in the first half in that situation. But, you have a league with guys making 50-yarders, and these guys didn't have it. So,
John, thanks for the time. Hopefully your body readjusts to East Coast time soon, and we'll talk to you in a couple weeks.
Yeah, get some rest, buddy.
Thanks, guys.
All right, bud.
Be sure to check out his latest article on ESPN.com. 5 plays that derailed the Commanders this season. It just got posted about an hour ago.
Who did that?
John Keim, on ESPN.com. Don't forget, Will Dawkins joins us at 7:45, but next, we'll get you hip to a high school football cheating controversy that's erupting in Prince William County. We'll give you the details on it next.